Welcome to the stream. My name is Jose. I'm a Godan in Kendo, and today we're going to be watching some Ippon videos, looking and trying to analyze when to attack. Also, I want to bring up some points that I've been watching, I've been observing from people and from tournaments and in my own practice. After this stream, I'm going to be doing a members only stream where I'll be sharing some of the back all the advices and all the observations and thoughts I had on my own practice here in Japan. And it's a good place if you have any specific questions about your kendo, if you want to send any videos, if you want to know more about like how I'm practicing all this stuff, that's a good place to do that. In this stream, I'm going to just show some ippons, and I have another video that if we have time, I will play on practice, like practicing at the dojo rather than shiai. Um, I put the channel, the Discord server up in the chat. So if you haven't checked it out, that's a great place to meet Kendo people around the world, make friends, and if you're gonna travel and see if you want to do Kendo at a different country, that's a good place to start. It came handy for me. I actually met a couple people last week in Malta, and great experience. I recommend everybody to go there, and great, amazing people over there. So I am very thankful that the server is doing so well, very healthy when it comes to how people share their thoughts and very friendly. I'm very proud of everybody there. So I was thinking, I mentioned this earlier, but I guess because nobody heard me, I'm gonna say it again. I'm thinking soon maybe closing the server and doing it by invitation only, so that way I can vet people and knowing who's not a what's it called, like a spammer and stuff. Because I've been seeing a lot of spamming in a lot of other servers that I've been on lately. So hopefully we can keep maintaining a friendly and healthy server for people to come in and have a good time. So, I was talking about this last ippon based on Hikiwasa. And Hikiwasa, I know sometimes people get confused on the fact that with the new rules, Hikiwasa has been treated by some people as, it's not available or, as confusing. And this ippon specifically, I think takes a lot of time on Suba Serie I. And normally that has been the problem for people. And what I'm going to say about this interaction specifically is that the time spent here in Hikiwasa, in Tsuba Serie I, it's the tension never breaks. So that's very important, and that's something that I think the judges are looking for to avoid is people just running the clock. So, or doing things intentionally to not engage into a fight. But here you can clearly see that they're both looking to do something, and well, it happened. So let me know what are your thoughts. Very, very strong Hikiwasa, by the way. And Hikiwasa, I think it's under practice. A lot of times, depending on the dojo and depending on the people you practice with, maybe we don't give enough attention to actually do it properly. So, watching a little bit of what's happening here, I'm going to say that the key to producing a good Hikiwasa is going to be your footwork, your feet, your balance, how you are at this moment right before you decide to go into a technique. So if you look at it, he's grounded, right? Nishimura is ready to go. He's looking to do his technique by staying in good posture. Now, uh, one drill, I mentioned a little bit about this in the stream that I did last week, but one drill on one way to think about how to be in this position quicker is that when you're doing your kihon, every time you turn around, you want to be engaged immediately, as if you're going to attack immediately. After you go through your sanshin and you turn around, you want to be engaged immediately in a way that is not tense. So you want to be ready, yet relaxed. Hope that makes sense. Let me know, and please let me know if the volume in the video is good or you need me to turn it back up. So sometimes your opponent sometimes the opponent makes a mistake and you can take advantage of it, and sometimes your pressure can make the opponent make a mistake and you can take advantage of it, right? So in this case, I feel that Katsumi, he actually made the opportunity by closing the distance, creating pressure. At some point, you see that his opponent gave him pressure and he kind of had to diffuse it by going back. It was a little bit of a, you see, White closes the distance in a very engaged manner. And the way to do that is keeping the back foot engaged. If you watch, this is something that can be confusing sometimes during your practice, especially when you have somebody that does it very well. But when you're watching somebody, sometimes it feels like they take one step and they immediately attack. A lot of times they don't really take what we would call a full step in Kendo because only the right foot is moving, closing the distance, but the back foot is staying engaged. And that's how you do that. If you watch this, a lot of times, myself included, because this happens to me a lot, when I'm trying to close the distance with the right foot, a lot of us, we put a lot of pressure or a lot of weight on that forward foot and we lose traction with the back foot. Even though we feel that the back leg might be engaged, it's not really there to give you power to go forward, if that makes any sense. But here, if you watch, he's keeping his body straight and the back leg is engaged, pushing forward always. And although he's putting weight on the right foot, he's not really just dropping all his weight on it, right? He's staying engaged so that way, if he sees an opportunity, he can launch. And uh, Katsumi, he sees that and he doesn't challenge that pressure. He diffuses that pressure by going back. He makes he takes back his distance. They both reset, and then at this point, he starts going forward, moving the right leg and moving the shinai as well, not really committing to a technique itself, kind of just looking for the opportunity, and his opponent raised the sword, so he goes for kote. From this point, he could have gone for men or for kote, right? But because he's able to keep his upper body relaxed, he's able to switch the target and go around to hit that kote. So it's a very good point to always keep in mind. Make sure that your upper body is relaxed as you move towards your opponent. Watch. When you watch it in one shot, when you watch it fluidly, it might not really look as premeditated, right? But when you break it down, you can see that there is response. Okay, there's pressure, diffuse of the pressure, and then maybe at this point, Katsumi decides to go forward, taking advantage of the little time that it takes White to reset back into Kamae to start doing pressure, right? And then at this point, when he starts going forward, he takes advantage of the opponent's reaction. And at this point, he's able to switch the target and get that kote. And although, as I said, it might look like it's not premeditated when you watch it full speed, because he's been doing this so much and so long, he can act naturally without really thinking about it, but at the same time processing all this information as he does this. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I think this is very interesting to see this type of exchanges because they happen so naturally. I'm sure that he wasn't really thinking about, okay, I'm gonna do this, then this, then this. So then this happens, and then I can hit here. None of that happens during these specific moments. Those tend to happen. It kind of feels like they just come out. But these are little things that kind of build up over time with good practice and with always having a forward intention towards your opponent. 第1試合場、赤、辰巳選手のお手が決まりました。 Guys, if you haven't, please take a second, hit the like button. It really helps the stream to get pushed out to more people. And if you could, let me know where you're watching from. I'm trying to figure out where are the best times to stream and what are the best days and times. So it would be nice to know where people are watching from. Another great execution of Hikiwasa. You see, there is tension there, there is communication, and even though there wasn't separation yet, like they started having a separation, but he took that moment, that little pause, in order to uh, get that ippon. So what makes this a really good moment to attack is that change of rhythm, right? Because he goes backwards, he goes back and engages his footwork, right? Engages his legs. As he does this, he's still observing his opponent, and when there's a little moment of relaxation, he attacks. So I'm not gonna say that again he was premeditating this. I don't think that he was like, okay, I'm gonna go like this, I'm gonna relax, and then I'm gonna wait for him to relax so then I can attack. I think it came out naturally. This is something that you want to always keep in mind, that you are in danger of being hit at any time. So I feel that White dropped a little bit his guard, and Red was able to take an opportunity because he was in a good position. His feet were in a good position. He was in good balance, and he saw that moment and he was able to take it. Okay, on the other side, if you want to protect yourself against Hikiwasa, you want to make sure that you always go back sharply, right? Or you try to do Hikiwasa. So in this case, I think it's a good way to see how you know uh how to separate, still keeping attention, right? So on the right we have White that he does a sharp retreat, and on the left we have Red that tries to do a Hikiwasa. And at this point, you see, when Red tries to go for that Hikimen, White responds with a sharp back retreat. And something that's, I think, very important to kind of point out here is that although you see Red pushing, it's not that he's pushing with his body forward. It's just trying to make a sharp motion, and mostly is helping him go backwards more than it is helping him push his opponent away. I don't know if that makes sense. I think that's a point that a lot of times we forget when we're practicing Hikiwasa and when we're trying to improve how to make that opening to get the ippon at this point. Great, I think great adjustment from Ichimura Sensei. Mmm, very interesting. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about when to attack and the reason why this work, I'm gonna break it down like this. Red is closing the distance using small footwork, right? So it allows him to be engaged. You see how he moves forward. He okay. So watch here. He takes the first step, both feet come forward, right? After that, he moves the right leg and then immediately brings the back leg forward. This allows him to be able to move anywhere he wants to without dragging, if that makes any sense. So when White comes in because of the pressure, tries to do something and close the distance, he's able to catch the shinai and then go around to hit that man. Very cool adaptation, and it kind of shows again having a relaxed upper body. You cannot do this if you're too tense, so you want to keep in mind you when he's hitting this way, he's trying to keep. Let me just go here in this camera, making sure that everything looks good. Okay, uh, as he catches the shinai, he's not tight here. He's not trying to, keep the shinai tight. He's pushing it. As he catches the shinai, he's able to go around with the left hand and hit the man with a sharp and strong strike. Now, this strength comes a lot again from the body, not necessarily because he's pushing and pulling with the hands. He's obviously using the hands to move the shinai around, but a lot of the sharpness of that strike comes from his tenoichi and the weight of his body. Okay, watch it one more time for a second and let me know what you think. So from here, you see he's pretty much mid-air when he hits that man, right? But if you watch, as he's doing that, he's landing immediately, right? And then pushing back. This allows him to transfer the weight of his body into his strike, making it more powerful than it would be if it was flat. Nice. Oh, what happened there? That was like a weird edit. Yeah, what happened there? Okay, that's a weird edit on this Ippon, but there's a couple of things I want to talk about here, especially if you're looking to practice against Jordan. Um, a lot of times I feel that when we don't do well against Jordan, it's not necessarily because the Jordan player is better than us, but a lot of times because we don't really know how to approach a fight against Jordan. And there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. So as he's approaching, as red is approaching white, right? He's coming in, keeping the tip forward, but although it might feel that the threat is to the man, he's trying not to raise the hands up. And I think I mentioned this a lot during my streams. Let me just put this here real quick. Maybe I can click this here. Um, if you're against Jordan and you raise your hands, what ends up happening is that the Jordan has a better view of your kote, and it's easier for them, especially for morote kote, to bring the hands down and hit it. So you want to instead keep that threat to their kote, be engaged, to push them to move, but don't fall into the trap of trying to go like this because again, it's gonna give you a big opening to get hit. Now, the other point I want to mention here is that the distance, let me see if I can look at the camera real quick. Okay. So let me try to be here. Okay. So the distance from your body and your hands is also very important, right? If you start with your kamae with your hands too far out, what's going to happen? Let me go here. What's going to happen is that you lose some reach that you might have at the moment that you move your hands. Also, you're gonna lose power because if you're already um, with your hands extended, at the time that you start moving your body, there's very little things that you can do, very little movement that you can get into your shinai. Of course, you can still get a nippon. It doesn't mean that you cannot. But the biggest point about this is that if you start with your hands out, once you start moving your legs, you already capped how much faster you can throw your shinai because your shinai will always move faster from your hands than from your body. So if you start moving your body, okay, if you start by moving your body, what's gonna happen is that you can pick up the speed from your body and then add speed with your arms. But if you do it the other way around, there's not much more speed you can put into your strike. That's a little pointer if you want to improve your speed without necessarily becoming more physically able or more physically stronger or moving your body any faster. Maybe you already are fast and you will be faster if you do the right, how do you say this? Uh, Yeah, with technique, you can improve your speed rather than with muscle. I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, yeah, it's a point that I always try to keep in mind because this is something that is naturally for me to fall into, to start tensing on my arms and putting them away from my body as I'm approaching my opponent. So you want to try to keep your hands relaxed close to your body, and you can play with the distance between your hands and your body. But if you extend your hands too much, then you lose all that speed that you can add, and also kind of it helps the Jordan players understand how far you are and how easy they can get you. Yeah, I'm not explaining it the best way. Hope it makes sense. So yeah, please let me know if you have any questions. Um, okay. So, okay, what I wanted to say about that, if you watch Red as he closes the distance, he even throws a fake kote and he comes with his hands slightly closer, right? He doesn't leave them extended out there. But as he does that, because he's relaxed, he can go around and try to hit the other, look, the other kote. So he didn't get it, right? He was able to see an opportunity because his opponent is on the way back, lifting his hands, and because his hands are not away from his body, he's able to come in closer to that kote than if he would if the hands were extended, because he can catch him with that little extra boost of speed, right? And getting the ippon is very interesting. Again, look what happened. As the Jordan player comes in for a kote, look where he goes. He goes for that kote, right? He brings it when he brings the hands up. So he missed it. So thankfully, Red had the good reaction to go immediately for that technique. So it's something you want to keep in mind. If you raise your hands going against Jordan, most likely they can get your kote, right? So in this case, he missed it, and Kunitomo has really good reaction in order to get that ippon. Okay, guys, we're gonna do one more ippon, and then we're gonna switch a little bit of that other video that I wanted to show. Okay, so let's break down why here, why at this moment, White decide to attack, right? So what happened? Okay, this right here. Okay, so here they're trying to get into Kamae. Actually, let me get my little shinais here. Okay. Um, when you're starting your engagement, ideally you want to start your engagement away from your opponent's shinai, right? Sometimes because of the heated situation, you may start your engagement here. If you're starting it here, this it becomes messy. So maybe the person with the best reflexes at this point can get the ippon. It's very easy to like get muddy where like nobody gets anything and they just get tired. So you want to start getting that communication from here. Now, after there was some type of exchange and you come back here immediately, there can be a moment where maybe one person is still kind of setting up while the other one it's already set up. I think this happens often if you're practicing against sensei and then after you go, you turn around and then sensei goes like immediately and then he can do it several times. This is very common to see the difference of that moment of readiness. But with everyone, it could happen, right? Like where maybe your brain is still resetting, you're still trying to manage your breathing and putting everything together before you start putting pressure. So that is a good moment sometimes if you're ready to throw a technique, because at this point the opponent might react, might do something that is not necessarily what's the word? That the opponent might do something that's not necessarily efficient, and that can give you an opportunity for Ippon. And I think that that's one of the factors that cause them to decide to attack here, because at this point, if you watch White starts putting pressure to start coming in forward, and then Red was kind of in the moment of trying to attack. If you watch, Red is kind of like setting up, and then immediately after he set up, he's trying to do an attack. So White decides to come in with a technique because he saw that opening, right? It wasn't an opportunity for it wasn't an Ippon, but it was an opportunity that he could have taken, and he went for it. And this is something that really efficient. Let's just say that. If you watch Red, he's doing, I would say Katsugi, right? So White puts pressure, Red puts pressure. So this is a okay. This is a Kendo tip that you always want to keep in mind. When you're doing something with your sword that you're preparing for an attack, you want to make sure that you're always moving with your body first. So if you watch Red here on the right, he starts bringing his sword to do kind of like Katsugi, but at the same time, he's moving his feet forward. He's moving his right leg forward, engaging into an attack. Why you do that? First, because if you start moving your hands and then you move your feet, it's going to take too long for you to actually get that ippon. And even if you see that opportunity, the opportunity might go away by the time that your sword gets there. So that is essential. Now, when he does the Katsugi, he gets a reaction to get the opponent to maybe go for man to try to do something. And because he's in motion, it's easier for him to throw the sword forward and get that man. Also, it allows him to throw his body forward. And if you watch, his body's in the air as the man connects because he has all that power coming from the back leg because he was already in motion and just shot to the opponent and able to get a good strong impact to get a beautiful ippon, I think. You watch one more time. Great ippon, I think. Let me know what you think. Having that ability to move your body with your sword, I Testing, testing. Okay. Mm, let me see something. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think I
Okay, I
think we're
think we're
back.
back.
Everything,
Everything,
I
I
hope
hope
everything is
everything is
good.
good.
Sorry guys,
Sorry
I don't
guys,
know
I
what
don't know what
happened.
happened.
Everything just
Everything just
started
started
going
going
funky
funky
and
and
yeah,
yeah,
lost
lost
connection.
connection.
So,
So,
okay,
okay,
maybe
maybe
I
I
ran out
ran
of
out of
time, so
time, so
I
I
couldn't
couldn't
do
do
oh, double
double
voice.
voice.
What about now? Can you hear me? Is everything okay? Is everything good? Okay, I let me see. Testing. Okay, I think volume should be okay. I don't know what happened, guys. Okay, thank you very much, Nev, for letting me know. Um, okay, because of this little technical difficulty and I'm having now some issues here, I don't have time to share the other video, so maybe I'll do that next week. What I'm gonna do now, it's in about a few minutes, maybe like 5 minutes after I close the stream, I'll start doing the members only stream. So if you would like to join that stream, please check out the members um, perks, become a member so you have access to that stream. I'm going to be talking about improving your strike for kote and distance to create power and speed. That's going to be my two main topics today. And that stream is going to be a way for me to share a little bit of what I'm doing on my daily practices here in Japan. If you have any questions about training in Japan, training for yourself, you want to send me some videos that we want to talk about here. It's kind of a way to, make sure that you guys get a little bit of extra for the support that I'm getting on the channel. And anyways, I really appreciate everybody tuning in, watching, even though I had a lot of technical difficulties today. If you have any questions, any advice, please feel free to do so, to leave them for me. I'm gonna put the Discord server link if you would like to check it out and pass by and become, part of the. It's completely free. You can join the server and you can meet people all around the world. If you want to go practice kendo somewhere, it's a good way to connect with people. Again, I said this earlier. Maybe it wasn't on the microphone, but I was happy to meet some of the people in the server that are in Malta, and I will recommend anybody to go practice there. Let me check. Oh, the Discord. Why the Discord server? Okay, I'm gonna pin it on the top. Um, yeah, I'll pin it at the top so that way you guys can check it out. Okay, guys, again, thank you very much for passing by. I really appreciate your support. We're gonna keep doing this hopefully every week. I was on a trip last week and I couldn't do it last week, but I'm gonna start doing it more often. And so if you have anything that you would like me to go and analyze or something you want me to specifically do, feel free to send me a message. You can do that through Instagram, YouTube, or the Discord server as well. You can contact me there, okay? Thank you very much, everybody, for passing by, and I hope to see you guys on the next stream. Take care. Bye bye.